kids are older, they're starting to notice. I found a 3-bedroom home that's out in the suburbs for $500,000. After talking to the bank, I found out I need to make a down payment of $100,000, 20%, and all I've been able to save up over the years with great effort is $22,000. I asked my friend if he could give me the rest, $78,000, and he completely blew up at me for the first time. He called me a leech, a bum, and a deadbeat, and told me never to ask for him for money again. I was so mad, I cursed him out, and I haven't talked to him since. I mean, seriously, I know $78,000 is a lot of money, but he literally has 50 times that much in the bank. He lives in a $1.2 million home and drives a Lamborghini, and he can't help me buy a safe house for my children. Rollerblading.
Bravo, Tom. Because when you first started reading that question, I thought it was going to be a typical, like, my friend's rich, but he won't even split the bill with me.
Right. I thought it was going to be a cute puppy question.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't. It's like next level. But scaled up a little bit.
Yeah, that is scaled up.
To a new level.
I'm not on this guy's side at all.
I'm not either.
What?
Because he makes it... Fair enough, this guy has a bit of money, but that doesn't mean that you're entitled to that money only because they've got so much.
Because you've been mates for 40 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, Tom. If I knew you for 40 years and you came to me for $78,000, I'd think about it.
Yeah, you think about it?
I'd think about it.
If you had $7 million?
If I had $7 million... Look, if you came to me... Maybe.
I know that you would have some sort of good plan written out. You're like a lawyer, if you got the money, you would have a lawyer look at everything.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's one of those ones where you would not come to me asking for $78,000, and I wouldn't go to anybody to ask for that much money in the first place.
It's a huge imposition.
That's huge. That's like that's a fair few cars.
Yeah, exactly.
$78,000. Yeah, exactly. That's not chump change. That's not like splitting the bill. That's not paying.
No.
That's not paying for your gas bill. Or
Even
like
saying that, like just little things like my electricity bill and paying for dental fees. It sounds like if you can't afford your electricity bill, like you're doing pretty poorly.
Yeah.
You're then wanting to put yourself in more debt with a friend. Like if I was the friend looking at you being like, okay, you can't afford your electricity bills. Yeah. So I'm going to pay for this house and then I'm going to probably pay for your electricity bills for this house too. You know
and not just that, but like, all right, he's putting a down payment. He's going to be paying off a mortgage.
Yes.
Mortgage repayments.
I'll be paying for your mortgage too.
Yeah.
Like everything will be paid for.
I think what the richer friend could possibly do instead of, loaning you the money is buying the house and renting it out to you.
I thought you were going to say get the person a financial planner just so they can organize their life maybe
there's that.
better.
Like, I mean, look, it's very easy to say, maybe you need to get a better job or something like that. And it's hard. Look, I can understand that. But maybe perspective of, all right, you can't afford this. You need to, go down a little bit more. Or change your perspective on it because, it's a lot of money to ask a friend for.
Yeah, exactly. But something like this, though, right? If you were to be in this situation yourself, if you were the person that needed the money, is that something you would be able to ask for of someone? Because I feel like that's the one thing. It takes one person to be able to be generous enough to give the money. But what about the person that asks for the money? Can you ever be that person? And how much would you ask for?
I could never really be that person who asks for the money. I just don't see it. Like it's,
I don't even like when a friend pays for me and I like owe them. Like I'm happy. Like I hate the idea of owing someone money.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like I owe Marcus $20 right now, and now that I just remember, I do. I'm like, all I want to do is transfer it to him right now because I don't like being indebted to people because I don't. It's kind of you're imposing on them and you're kind of putting them out a little bit. $20 isn't going to sink Marcus financially. I hope.
I'm actually down on my rent.
Oh shit! All right,
$20 is quite important to me.
He's hemorrhaging money just like the podcast.
Yeah.
But I've been asked before this is years ago.
Yep.
When I used to work in a different line of work, a guy I worked with, I knew him for probably 2 years. We worked together. And he asked me for about $5,000.
Whoa!
And I felt bad saying no, but I'm like,
what?
I don't really know you outside of a work context.
Yeah.
I don't know how good
was it
you
an
are.
investment opportunity or was
No.
I need the money?
This was the type of guy where like halfway through a shift, he would have banks calling him like all the time, and he's like, "Sorry, I got to go take this." Yeah, and I'd see like the number, but it's always like a bank like Commonwealth calling him, and like would just like max out credit cards, and like someone who just wasn't really financially responsible.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel that much. I didn't really feel the need to give him the money. So it's like, well, you're just like
I'm never going to see that money again.
I remember he had Foxtel ringing him like every day to pay his bill, and he's like, this is his logic, right? So he had Foxtel. It was like 6 months he hadn't paid it. He's like, but it's only like $40 a month. It's a good deal. It's like, dude, you're not paying it.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? It's a good deal.
Yeah, it's not a good deal if it's not something that you can afford.
If you can't afford it, it's not a good deal.
Yeah, and the way he would talk about money and stuff, I was like, he was one of those people who was just like, he would see an aftershave on sale that would say, it was usually $600 down to $300, and his logic was like, I'm losing money if I don't buy it now.
Of course.
I remember you telling me a similar story about the same
It's
guy.
going to be the same guy.
And it's the comment I'm saying now. Whenever I see something on buy, I'm practically giving money away if I don't buy it. And
Damn, it's like,
and that's the statement I
it's like a
always think
virus
about.
inside of us. It's like, now that's what I say every time. I'm gonna say it
Prices
too.
like this, Amazon's going to go out of business.
Jesus Christ. I'm an idiot if I don't buy
Yeah,
it.
they're practically paying me to buy this item.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't feel inclined to give him the money, because it's like, you're probably just going to,
And that's $5,000. That's not 78.
Whereas I think if you guys were to come to me, ask, I don't think I would have any second guess. I trust you guys.
It's a different thing, kettle of fish. You got to know, like, all right, this person's the one that's asking for money, but you've been asking for money your entire probably 40-year relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
So he knows, he's like, you've never been good for it. Like,
you get fed up eventually.
You want it as a gift. You don't want it as a loan. And
because it doesn't sound like he's paying. He doesn't say he's paying him back, does he?
I'm assuming he'll pay it back. Surely he pays $78,000.
you would think so.
I mean, along over the years though, he hasn't paid that
I don't
stuff
know if
back.
it's just like, just help me out. He probably just thinks you're so rich. That's the thing as well. People just think if you're so rich that you
can just
won't
give it-
miss it, so why would you need it back?
I felt it really jarring that he was like, he's so stingy, like in terms of like he's an investment broker, whatever it is.
He's calling him stingy.
And he's calling him stingy and all of that sort of stuff. It's like, well, the rich stay rich from being money conscious.
Yeah.
So if they said to you, oh, look, I don't want to spend, on a new car or something like that, that's possibly why they're saving the money. They're working it out. But he's not being stingy because he's not giving you $78,000. He's being really generous from the electricity bills, from the dental bills. So I think this guy's perspective needs to change right around.
Yeah, big time.
Exactly. Have you... I don't think I've ever asked for money, or I've ever been asked for money either, even from like family members.
No one's
as well.
ever asked. No. I feel like it's one of those ones where I don't feel like I've ever been asked or needed to ask anybody for money. But that being said, I'm always open, especially with family. I'm like, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be there. And even still, I'm helping out somebody that I'm close to.
I think the family is where I would go.
Yeah.
Like, I think family or like relatives in some way is probably the extent of where I would ask.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Friends
is a bit different.
It's a bit much.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of a stretch.
Having said that, Marcus, can I borrow $5,000?
Yeah, right.
You're borrowing $20 already.
Put it on my tab. Put it on my
That's
tab,
my
buddy.
tab for Marcus.
I mean, if I never paid you back, you can just keep bringing it up on the podcast every week and just shame me anyway.
That's it. I got a public forum to shame you.
Every week you can bring up the $20.
That's it.
Well, what do you reckon rollerblading should do? They, like, this friend basically sounds like they've cut them off. They've called them a leech. They've called them a bum.
Yeah.
They've insulted them as well. So now I feel like the not only is the loan maybe in jeopardy, the friendship's in jeopardy.
The insulting has opened the gates to it all.
Yeah.
I feel if he doesn't want to back down from it, then you've lost a friend for good.
Yeah.
And even if you want to think of this from a selfish point of view, he was paying for little items for you as well. You're losing that aspect as well. So you've just lost...
Yeah.
Like, you've lost a friend of 40 years, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, I do have empathy for the person who, let's say they are responsible with their money, but they said, I think they got 3 kids and stuff. Maybe their job just doesn't give them enough money for what they need if they're a low-income family, that type of thing. So I feel from there, but it does seem like they've taken advantage of their rich friend. Yeah. I think they just have to live within their means and just have a bit of perspective.
Yeah, maybe it's time to sort of scale back. You can't afford that $500,000 house in the suburbs. You can't afford it.
Yeah,
like, what
exactly.
Can you do?
I think if you want the friendship back, apologize and don't ask for that money again. Because that you're never going to get that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, this is the other thing. What can they offer as a friend? If it's always give and not or take, not give.
Apparently he's got a grocery store. Maybe you can give him milk. Yeah. I mean, what can you give?
He's lactose intolerant. He's like, oh damn, and we don't have any other the fancy milks.
Eggs? I don't know. Like,
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say good luck to rollerblading, but I don't know. I think it's a bit of a difficult situation. Let's leave it there for rollerblading then. And Marcus, you're up.
I feel all right. So I used to play instruments as a teenager, particularly like the guitar.
Yep.
And I still pick it up from time to time, and I feel like I'm getting better.
Oh, okay.
with it. I feel like my hand dexterity back then was shit.
Oh, okay.
And through time, I'm just like, yeah, I can actually give this a shot. And I actually got better.
You pick it up and you're just like, wow, I could never nail Stairway to Heaven. And now I can nail
well,
Stairway
actually,
to Heaven.
I've avoided all like solos. I'm like, I can't be fucked playing that anymore. But it's more like the dexterity to actually play chords and all that.
Right.
I was shit house as a teenager.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty good.
And then, no, I was shit house.
Oh, no.
I think you're underselling yourself. We were in a band together.
Exactly, yeah.
Nah, well, anyway,
How much you guys play?
In any case, I feel like I got better with time.
All right. You aged like a fine wine.
I aged like a fine wine on guitar playing. So anyway, guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Writes in.
Guitar.
Is it better to chat more before actually meeting? I met a guy on a date site today, and we chatted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to hang out this week in a couple of evenings' time, so a couple of days. I feel that it's too soon. I find it strange that he wants to meet right away. Is it strange of me to want to chat a little bit more online or talk on the phone even for a few days before meeting? Guitar!
Okay, so talk on the phone before meeting.
Well, yeah, she wants to... So she's been meeting through this, let's say, Tinder.
Yep.
Chatting away with him for maybe a few days. And then now he's like, hey, do you want to meet up straight away?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no. I want to be on the phone. I want to talk to you a bit more. I want to chat a little bit more.
What do you wait for? I guess like that's the thing. Like, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Like, well, this is I guess this is the thing, right? You're talking to the person on a chat. Fair enough if you want to talk to them on the phone to actually get a more of an idea of them and how they are. I guess on the spot as well. Like talking on the phone is a little bit different than chatting where you can think and sort of say things like in text. So like that's a good way to get to know someone a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there are like certain safe. Smarter environments for you to do. Like, I know like things like day dates. So if you're on a day date, something like, I think I remember there was a friend of yours that was just like...
Coffee date.
Coffee dates are good because you're only ever going to be there for the coffee to get a good idea of the person.
You're only obliged for maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
You treat the date like, do you know in action movies when they intentionally meet in a public place if they think their life is in danger.
Right. Sit on a park bench behind each other and just talk without facing each other.
Meet in like a very busy mall or something like that, or a shopping center.
Yeah. I feel from this person's point of view, I feel from the guy's side of this more than anything behind dating. In the sense of like when I was talking to people through dating websites or whatever it was, stuck through online, I was like, I don't want to be talking to a text box. Like I understand. I understand, like, you've met a few times and all that, and you just chat through the day through your text box, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want to meet the person straight up because I'm like, if we don't vibe in person, this date it's done. Like, I don't need to know you any better. I want to, and on top of all of that, I didn't want to run out of conversation for that person meet.
Yeah. That's true.
That was always my biggest fear. I remember when I was on those dating websites, I would chat online for maybe 20 minutes and then say, I got to go. And then just stop talking.
Right. And you don't have to go. You just still sit there.
I didn't want, I always made it a point to, chat for maybe half an hour or an hour.
Yeah.
And then.
You were treating it like a stand-up gig. You use like some strong material and you leave on a high. And then.
Like, all right, I got to go back to work now. I'll speak to you later. Yeah. And then I would end it. Even though I was on my phone all day. I don't know that. You
know the limits of your, like, the social capacity. This is like, Marcus, I turned into a werewolf. I might literally start howling in text.
I also, from my point of view as well, I always thought to myself, I'm like, I talk way too much.
Right.
And I don't want to scare them off.
I'm not saying yes to you. I'm saying yes, that's a good point because you don't want to start saying, like, once I run my mouth, I run out of things to say. I'll start saying whatever.
Verbal diarrhea
and who knows what's going to come out?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to come out? If anything, you're putting, like, a limiter on yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like meeting in person was always the best way because that's when you get the vibe. Like, if you couldn't talk to each other in person, the relationship's done.
Do you know what's been interesting with COVID? I've got a friend who's been back into the dating scene, and obviously people have been able to meet up, so it's been a lot of text box chat, as you said. But then once people were allowed to meet up, this is when masks were still mandatory outside.
Yeah, right.
He met up with a girl and didn't do his research in the area. He just assumed there'd be a cafe there. Because his logic was, we'll go to a cafe, then we have a coffee, and we have to take our masks off and we can talk. Instead, all the cafes were closed. So they were just sitting there at a park bench with their masks on.
Yeah.
And he said it was just a really awkward date because they literally didn't have that proper face-to-face.
You couldn't even take your mask off to have a drink because that's the excuse to not wear your mask.
Exactly.
Bring a water, but like that's, all right.
And this is when we had a few more cases and it was a bit more
scarier.
So he was like, it was one of the worst dates I've had because it was just, you couldn't even see her.
I wonder how much of those apps would have been thriving, I guess, in a way for people like socially talking with each other like that. But I wonder if there was like way less dates meetups, obviously.
There would have been.
There were a lot of
Because
Zoom. I know Zoom dating was a thing.
So did they incorporate a video chat into things like Tinder?
Look, I'm not confident to say that.
Chat roulette.
Right.
I know
Instead of
Zoom
dick pics, it's live dicks.
I definitely know Zoom dates are a thing, but I think, God, that's just as awkward because, like, you had an out marker saying, I've got something to do now. There's no visual component to that. When everybody's in lockdown, you can't really be like, well, you know, I've got to go do something.